In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate
Daniel Biss. Promising to protect Medicaid, Daniel Biss voted to cut Medicaid for working parents in Illinois. Cleaning up politics, Biss ran a super PAC funded by Mike Madigan. And Biss's promise to serve his full term as mayor, he announced for Congress just days after being sworn in. Daniel Biss, always running for something, willing to say anything to get elected. ECW is responsible for the content of this ad.
Illinois needs.
Let's give you a live look outside. Spectacular Monday, but guess what? Change is coming. Rain this week. What you need to know to stay dry.
A local family worrying about a man last seen near O'Hare Airport. Why they're holding on to hope that he will come home.
This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime.
The war on Iran rages on tonight as local protesters in our area push back against American aggression. Hear their message. Thanks for joining us. I'm Scott Schneider.
From Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 9.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Scott Schneider.
I'm Dawn Hasberg. U.S. Central Command confirms at least 6 service members have now been killed since the start of the U.S. military operation in Iran.
Just tonight, the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia was hit by an Iranian drone. Thankfully, nobody was hurt.
Caroline Shively has more on the motives for the attacks.
The Trump administration says the U.S. launched strikes on Iran after it learned Israel was planning its own attack.
We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio briefed top members of Congress on Monday.
And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded.
U.S. Central Command says it's wiped out Iran's naval presence in the Gulf of Oman, down from 11 ships a few days ago to 0. Dozens of Iranian leaders have already been killed. President Trump says the engagement could last 4 or 5 weeks or longer.
We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail.
Meanwhile, the conflict is expanding across the Middle East. The State Department is urging Americans to leave more than a dozen countries due to safety risks. Administration officials say Iran's growing nuclear capabilities led the president to decide a preemptive strike was necessary.
He knew that they were committed to getting on that brink of a nuclear weapon, and he decided to take action because he felt that was necessary in order to protect the nation's security.
Democrats disagree.
When we have American casualties and expectations of more, there needs to be the proof of an imminent threat to American interests.
Rubio says while the U.S. would welcome regime change in Iran, it is not the goal of the operation. He also noted the hardest hits are still to come. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox Chicago. Scott and Dawn, back to you.
And our Joni Lum continues our team coverage of a local protest happening here.
What was the message from protesters, Joni?
Well, you know, there have been many protests against this, and tonight protesters say their anti-war movement will keep returning to Chicago streets to end war in Iran. Tonight's demonstration was part of a nationwide effort taking place in 70 cities. More than 100 people demonstrated tonight at Ida B. Wells and Michigan Avenue, calling for the U.S. to stop aggression against Iran. They chanted to the beat of drums with the skyline lit behind them. They called the president's order reckless and say they are the voices of the majority of Americans who oppose war and U.S. involvement in the Middle East. Young activists and military veterans joined in condemning the strikes on Iran.
To use our collective power and break the cycle of forever wars that have already claimed over 500 lives in Iran, including over 80 school children.
We are here today because we oppose the illegitimate war on Iran. And we represent the majority of this country who do.
Today, we must say enough is enough, and we must condemn every single member of Congress and the Senate that is silent and therefore complicit with this illegal and illegitimate war.
Well, the group threatened to shut down Chicago streets, but tonight the protest was peaceful. Dozens of Chicago police were there on bikes and on foot to keep the public safe. But the group says they will mobilize again. They're going to do another protest on Friday.
Local members of Congress also reacting. What are they saying?
They are reacting, as you know. Some have supported the move, and many have say that Congress should have had a say in all of this. Here's what Illinois U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth said on the Senate floor today.
I ran for Congress so that when the drums of war started beating once again, I'd be in a position to make sure that our elected officials fully considered the true cost of the war, not just in dollars and cents, but in human lives as well. That was the vow I made to the troops I deployed with and all those who've served since I hung up my uniform. And today, I'm speaking here under this great Capitol dome to keep that most sacred promise. Because sadly right now, American service members are already in harm's way, 6,000 miles east of what could be yet another preventable war. These troops are ready to do their jobs no matter what, just as they've done time after time, tour after tour. So to me, it is tragic that even as they prepare to do their jobs, our president and certain members of this chamber seem so ready to neglect their own.
Tammy Duckworth, Iraq War veteran, powerful voice. You know, some members of Congress are probably going to be checking public opinion to see if this is a popular thing, and everything changing so fast.
Yeah. Thank you, Joni.
You're welcome.
Well, let's take a live look outside. It was a decent day for the people who were out today. Chief Meteorologist Emily Walsh joins us now for a first check of our forecast. We enjoyed seeing the sunshine today.
Yeah, well, hopefully you enjoyed it a lot because we have a lot of rain chances in your forecast here over the next couple of days. So notice here tomorrow we have about a 40% chance. It's not going to rain all day. In fact, the majority of the daytime hours actually look fairly dry. But tomorrow evening, we're going to be seeing rain moving in out of the south, pushing northward, and then we have several chances throughout the remainder of the work week. However, I will say temperatures are really going to be moving in the right direction. By the end of this week, we're counting on highs that are going to be well into the 60s, if not close to 70 in some locations. Rain, it's not a bad thing. A lot of us are dealing with drought-like conditions, so future precipitation here running us all the way through the end of the day on Friday shows that most areas are looking at right around an inch to about 1.75 inches. So not a lot of rain, and again, it's going to be very spread out. So we just have several systems coming through, and none of them are really going to be dumping a lot of rain all at once. The drought monitor, we're actually dealing with severe drought across the far southwestern sections of LaSalle County. So again, rain is going to be a good thing. I'll time it all out for you coming up in just a bit.
Now to the search for Elijah Joseph Horde. It continues tonight. He's the missing 23-year-old that was last seen at O'Hare International Airport.
Leslie Moreno spoke to his family tonight, and she joins us live at the airport. Leslie.
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, according to police, he was last seen here at O'Hare Airport last Friday. His family says he was heading to France, but he never checked his bags or boarded that flight. Elijah there on your screen is 6'3". His family says Elijah went through security and was waiting at his departure gate. There is footage of him leaving Terminal 5 and heading toward another terminal. His sister says he was in Chicago visiting family and was heading home to France when he disappeared. Family says Elijah suffers from schizophrenia and he can't be without his medication.
If he doesn't take his medication, I fear that he might get too low in terms of like his mood, and that might be a scary place for him to be, especially being alone and not necessarily knowing anyone in Chicago to contact when that occurs. So that's my only concern is like I really hope his mind is right and he's not just completely losing it. Of course, we're concerned, but we're trying to stay pretty calm and level-headed because we don't have any news. So we're waiting to see video. We're waiting to hear back from the police and what they've been able to find before jumping into like any conclusions.
If anyone has any information, you're urged to call police and detectives at the number there on your screen. Family does say that he has gone missing once before, but that was only for about a day. He's now been missing since Friday, so family is really worried about him. Dawn Scott.
So I heard her say she's waiting on video, but what happens next? Are there any searches planned?
Yeah, family says they don't have any searches planned right now. Again, we do know that he has family here, and they are working closely with police and detectives in the airport here as well. Again, he was last seen at Terminal 5, so right now they're focusing on that specific area surrounding that Terminal 5 area, and depending on what comes out of there, there may be more surveillance footage. They'll be able to take that next step, but family does believe that he may still be here in Chicago. Guys.
All right, Leslie, thank you for that. Civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson returns home to South Carolina.
He lied and reposed in the state capitol. What it means for his family. Next.
Fox Local.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson back in his home state today.
He lied and stayed at the South Carolina Capitol, only the second black man to lie and state there in its history. Madison Scarpino has more on Jackson's legacy.
Reverend Jesse Jackson lying in repose Monday in his home state of South Carolina. It's one of the several memorials for the civil rights icon since his February 17th death. The prodigy of Martin Luther King Jr. and two-time presidential candidate lying in the South Carolina state capitol after battling a rare neurological disorder. Dozens of people packed under the rotunda to honor his life.
That by tearing down the walls of segregation, Reverend Jackson and other courageous leaders also blazed a new path of freedom for the people of South Carolina.
The mayor of his home city of Greenville was one of the several leaders to speak about the Reverend and his life accomplishments. His daughter also speaking to the crowd.
We gather today under the dignity of this majestic dome to honor the work of Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson, who in death is undiminished. He is undefeated. He is a force of nature, and I say is because he always will be.
Jackson's daughter says it's a high and unusual honor to allow remains to rest in the state capitol, and she thanked the South Carolina governor for that.
That what the governor has done in granting this honor has not only added greater solemnity to the memory of Reverend Jesse Jackson, but it has also reinvigorated the hope that maybe, just maybe, integrity is not dead in the United States of America.
And Jackson's children are vowing to continue their father's decades of advocacy. In Columbia, South Carolina, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
Chicago, a front runner to host the 2028 Democratic National Convention. This is the video bid you're looking at. The Democratic National Committee says that Atlanta, Boston, Denver, and Philly are also under consideration. Of course, we hosted the last convention back in 2024. That hadn't happened since 1996.
Now let's take a live look outside as we see the bean is always a good judge of how cold it is outside because, of course, there are way more people at this hour when it's warmer. So you said, Emily, that it will be at least nice temperatures this weekend.
Yeah, pretty decent. So over the next couple of days, we're looking at temperatures that are going to be in the 40s, and then we're going to be in the 50s by Thursday. I think by this weekend, we're in the 60s. Right. Some areas have a shot at hitting 70 late this week, so we're going to be keeping an eye out for that. But all of this warmth is coming along with several chances of rain. Your temperatures right now, we're ranging from about 27 degrees in Waukegan up to the mid to upper 30s across a couple locations. We're still at 37 at Midway. Same thing in Merrillville. It's 35 degrees at O'Hare. Futurecast taking us throughout the rest of this evening. Notice how these numbers really don't change all that much. So going into early tomorrow morning, we have temperatures that are going to be hovering just above the freezing mark. There's a chance that we could be seeing a couple isolated rain showers here or there during the day, but a much better chance of rain that's going to arrive during the evening and then into the overnight, but mainly for locations near and south of I-80. So north of I-80, not much in the way of rainfall is coming our direction Tuesday evening into Tuesday night, but we're going to have several opportunities through the week. Again, we're going to be kind of in this parade of storm systems moving through. So every single day from Tuesday all the way through Saturday, we have at least the chance of seeing some rain. For tonight, low temperatures, I think, are briefly going to touch that 32-degree mark, but then we're expected to rise to about 33, 34 degrees by daybreak. We'll have east-southeasterly winds right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. The out-the-door forecast for Tuesday, chance of a couple stray or isolated rain showers. Otherwise, I think we're just going to be mostly cloudy. Temperatures by 10 should be up to around 40. Eventually, we'll find our highs right around 43. We're up to 46 degrees on Wednesday. I think on Wednesday morning, we'll start off with a glimpse of some sunshine, so partly sunny to get the day started. But then by midday into the afternoon, we have another chance of rain, possibly a couple thunderstorms. On Thursday, highs are going to be right around 50. And then finally, we are looking at 60s late this week. That's going to last into the weekend. And then even into early next week, I think temperatures stay very mild in the 60s. Back to you.
There is tonight a new bill in Springfield. It looks to set up a state commission that would dig into any Illinois connection to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking network. Terrence Lee explains the political hurdles that lay ahead.
The goal here is straightforward: accountability and justice under Illinois law. When crimes happen on our soil or when our residents are harmed, we have the authority and indeed the obligation to act. Nobody is above the law in this state. Not the powerful, not the wealthy, not the connected.
That is the core of House Bill 5723. It will create a 10-member bipartisan Illinois Epstein Files Investigation Commission. The panel would have subpoena power. It would investigate crimes that happen in Illinois, targeted Illinois residents, or involve people subject to state law. It would also refer cases to the Illinois Attorney General and allow for a statewide grand jury.
The Epstein trafficking network had tentacles throughout the state of Illinois, and this bill will give our state the tools to investigate and hold every person accountable, no matter how powerful they are.
Supporters say the focus is on Illinois victims and any crimes that may have happened here. The bill says victims would not be forced to testify. The commission would hold public meetings and issue reports over a 5-year period.
To the survivors, you should not have had to fight this hard for justice. We are here because we stand with you and for you.
Republican leaders are calling it a publicity stunt, saying Illinois cannot really run a federal-style investigation from Springfield. The governor's office says it will review the bill as it moves through the General Assembly.
If justice remains a locked door in Washington, then let our state be the battering ram. Let Illinois lead the way. Other states will follow.
New Mexico lawmakers passed a similar state-level commission in February. The bill in Illinois was filed after a deadline, so lawmakers may have to take it up in the fall session before any commission can move forward. Terrence Lee, Fox Chicago.
NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie and her family laying flowers at a makeshift memorial site outside of her mother's home in Tucson. It has been more than a month since the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie and still no answers. The Pima County Sheriff's Office in Arizona says the search will continue until she is found, but they are refocusing resources. Homicide detectives are now handling the case, and they are reviewing surveillance video of vehicles in the neighborhood the night she went missing. The family is opening a $1 million reward offering, we should say, for any information leading to an arrest.
Amazon drone delivery now flying into the suburbs.
Pretty soon you'll see these in the skies. What you need to know.
Approve this ad.
The future of delivery is taking flight.
Some South suburban residents could soon get Amazon packages without a truck in sight through its new drone service.
Yeah, Casey Cronis has the latest.
Amazon is gearing up to launch the service out of Matson and Markham in a matter of months. We got to see what could soon be flying over your neighborhood. From the warehouse to your door without hitting the road, Amazon is bringing on-demand delivery to the skies.
We are able to operate in cold temperatures, in light precipitation, so even light rain. Our wind limits are pretty robust.
The Prime aircraft weighs in at about 80 pounds. Community members got a first look today at the Tinley Park Convention Center where it was on display.
We have all the trucks coming in the neighborhood now every day, so this will be a little
different, and it is pretty big, so it'll take a while to get used to it.
I think it's the wave of the future, and it's only going to get bigger and better. I like it. I think it's a good idea.
When the service goes live, residents who live within an 8-mile radius of the Markham and Matson Amazon distribution centers will be able to select the drone delivery option. There will be an extra fee of $4.99 for Prime members, and items will be delivered within 2 hours.
If you select it, then you will get basically an aerial image of your house, like a Google Earth look of your property. It'll have predetermined delivery points, and you can select which one. A lot of people prefer the backyard because it is safer, a lot more private, so people prefer that. Check out like normal Amazon order, and within 2 hours, you'll see this coming over your yard and dropping off your package for you.
The drone itself won't land, but will hover close to the ground and release your package. They'll only operate during daylight hours. The drones are fully autonomous, but will be monitored by an Amazon Prime Air team. There's no set launch date just yet, but expect the service to take flight this summer. Amazon says the cameras on the drones will be used solely for navigation and to help the drones avoid obstacles. There will be 12 drones stationed at each warehouse. Each drone can only deliver one package at a time, but the service is already launched in other cities, including Kansas City and in the Detroit area. Reporting in Tinley Park, Casey Cronus, Fox Chicago.
Data centers, they're popping up everywhere, including here in Illinois and in Indiana.
In a special report, we dig deeper into concerns from people living near these centers.
right for you.
Let's give you a live look at our magnificent city. Hope you enjoyed what was a pretty nice Monday, because we are going to get rained on. Emily's going to let us know when it's coming and how long it's going to last.
A Chicago pastor and his wife are caught in the middle of a rapidly escalating war in the Middle East tonight.
Yes, there's going to be noise. Yes, the generator's going to be running. Yes, the fans are going to run. And yes, you're going to hear it.
We're digging deeper into data centers. They're popping up in our area. What are the true costs to the community? You know, just like property taxes, you can add data centers to the hot button list of issues that are getting people fired up, like it or not. The reality is they're here to stay.
In tonight's special report, Brett Bagansky takes a look at how some Chicago suburbs are dealing with those data centers.
From Hobart.
If you go forward with this data center, you're going to get a mass exodus.
To Naperville.
You'll hear today loud and clear over and over that your constituents do not want a data center in this location.
To Lisle. To Aurora. To Yorkville. Data centers are on city council agendas across the Chicago area, and residents are showing up in big numbers to let their local leaders know how they feel about data centers being built in their town.
Everyone's angry. This will be your guys' last terms if you do not vote with us.
Most people look at the data centers as this imminent threat to the environment and to their livability of cities and in small communities.
Dr. Tommy Zekaruski is an adjunct environmental engineering professor at the Illinois Institute of Technology. He's also known as a building scientist who works with hyperscale data centers to help them minimize their impact on the environment.
I believe that there's this misunderstanding or not enough information to really understand what the purpose of these data centers are and how they connect to the community and the offerings that they give us in terms of our digital lives these days.
He says one misunderstanding is this: whenever you click or swipe or stream, that information is usually being stored in the cloud, and the cloud isn't where you probably think it is.
What most people don't understand, that data center is the cloud. The cloud is something that we use to describe that data center. It's sort of like a metaphor for the internet.
And then when I saw, again, what was happening in Naperville, I'm like, you know, I think somebody needs to go and just, if nothing else, I decided after seeing how people were coming, it's like, I think they need to know more about what it's like to live with it.
Laura Evans lives in Aurora. She can see and hear a data center from the deck in her backyard. She says it's about 1,000 yards away. Aurora approved Cyrus One's plans for a data center back in 2017. She had concerns back then. Laura said she was told at a city council meeting not to worry. The data center was going to be a great neighbor who would be quiet and unassuming.
What they're saying is not going to be what's going to happen, because that's exactly what they were being told is what we were told. No, yes, there's going to be noise. Yes, the generators are going to be running. Yes, the fans are going to run. And yes, you're going to hear it. And yes, there is health concerns. I mean, I can't tell if we're going to develop cancer now that we had generators running this year. I don't know. But it is something that there's a lot of studies being done, and it could happen. So let's be aware of it and be a little more proactive. And I think that all the data centers need to slow down and start doing things right instead of trying to rush to put in.
This is just a brief look at this issue, and if you want to see our full in-depth special report, go to fox32chicago.com and Fox Local. So this is just the start of our continuing in-depth coverage on this very topic. So in the coming weeks, we're going to take an in-depth look at how the number of data centers are impacting your utility bills. You've probably seen a lot of them go up where you live. We're also going to show you how it's impacting the environment and what's being done to make data centers more environmentally friendly and more accountable. Brett Bagansky, Fox Chicago.
All right, let's take a live look outside and check in on our forecast. Some rain and better temps. Emily.
That's right. We are tracking several rain chances between tomorrow and this upcoming weekend. So every single day from Tuesday all the way through Saturday, we're going to see some sort of rain moving throughout the region. But again, key word there is that it's rain. We are not talking about any snow in your forecast, and temperatures are going to be warming up in a really big way. In fact, a lot of us are looking at 60s by the end of this week and into this upcoming weekend. Between this week all the way through about the end of the day on Friday, most areas are looking at around 1.25 inches to about 1.5 inch and 3/4, so not a ton of rain. By all means, this is not going to be a flooding rainfall for any one location, but it's going to be very meaningful rain because we actually have drought-like conditions across a large portion of the area. Right now, it is 35. We have a wind chill of 31, easterly winds of 5 miles per hour. Tonight, we're dropping down to near the freezing mark, but I do think that we're going to be hovering just above that. We'll have east-southeasterly winds right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your 3-day forecast tomorrow, we have a chance of isolated showers during the day. A better chance is going to arrive during the evening, especially south of I-80. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have scattered showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder. Shower chances continue into Thursday, but high temperatures bump up to near 50. Back to you.
Chicago pastor and his wife right now, they're caught in the middle of what is a rapidly escalating war in the Middle East.
They landed in Dubai for a visit, and suddenly it was sirens, missiles, and airports closing. Tia Ewing has more on their search for answers to get home.
The Rawlings were supposed to fly home today. They went to the airport and were turned away. They were in Dubai, sightseeing, taking in the skyline, enjoying the calm. Then missiles were intercepted right overhead.
Everybody's supposed to seek shelter. Everybody is out of the rooms and everything like that.
That's the moment that Apostle Ronald and Amis Rawlings had to evacuate their hotel in Dubai, along with other tourists. The husband and wife are the founders of Great Faith Revelation Church on Chicago's South Side. They traveled to Abu Dhabi for ministry work, mixing business with a little tourism. They traveled to Dubai.
Here's the coffee with the gold in it.
The Rawlings were having a good time until sirens went off and guests were ordered to evacuate.
And you can discern the fear. You know, like in the hotel, I see a mother holding her child in a different way. You know what I mean? In a protective way.
That's when the couple left Dubai, traveling back to Abu Dhabi, a drive of about 1 hour and 15 minutes. During that time, they saw explosions overhead.
There was a missile, an interception, intercepted a missile in the air, and the debris fell and tore up a couple of cars. And so we saw police out there. You could see the cars damaged, looked like they had been in an accident.
The Rawlings are now sheltering in Abu Dhabi with the help of a fellow minister. Their flight home was scheduled for Monday, but when they arrived at the airport, they were greeted by the military.
So the building's empty, and pretty much you have to wait it out until something changes. And that's an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you're feeling okay, and then the next minute, you're thinking about your children, and you're starting to miss home.
The United Arab Emirates says its air defense systems have intercepted hundreds of missiles and drones as Iran continues retaliatory strikes across that region. One person was killed in Abu Dhabi, and regional tensions remain high. For now, though, the Rawlings are waiting. Airspace reopened hours ago, but they still don't know when they can return home. Of course, we will stay in contact with them and keep you updated. Tia Ewing, Fox Chicago.
Apple rolling out a new version of the iPhone 17.
But for a lower price, how much it's going to cost.
And get ready for the return, and this is exciting, baseball fans. It's the World Baseball Classic, and it's right here on Fox. Team USA, Team Brazil, this Friday. You can catch it right here on Fox Chicago beginning at 7 p.m.
responsible for the content of this ad.
Drug maker Novo Nordisk upgrading a manufacturing facility, and when they do, they're going to start making a pill form of the widely popular weight loss drug Wegovy.
Grady Trimble has a look at that story and more in tonight's Fox Business Headlines.
Markets finished mixed for your Monday. The Dow closing in the red, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both finished in the green. Rio Tinto Group has approved a $473 million mine expansion at its Richards Bay Minerals unit in South Africa. The company says the project will extend the life of the mine to 2050 and will, quote, ensure RBM's operational continuity for years to come. Work was halted at the end of 2019 over violent community protests. Novo Nordisk will spend $507 million in upgrading a factory in Ireland to produce its Wegovy weight loss pill. The facility, which employs 260 workers, will provide, quote, significant additional capacity for current and future obesity and diabetes medicines. The investment will also include an upgrade and retrofit of the existing facility, plus create up to 600 construction jobs. And Apple announced it'll launch a lower-priced version of the iPhone 17. The new iPhone 17e will start at $599 and features the same processor but a slightly smaller screen. The model also has one camera instead of two and will launch on March 11th. That's business. I'm Grady Trimble.
Okay, if you're an early riser, you might want to get a good look at the sky tomorrow.
You might catch something rare. We'll let you know what to watch for next.
For the content of this ad.
Okay, this is pretty cool. If you're an early bird, okay, let's keep our fingers crossed because there's a weather component here, but I'm going to read this. Could be quite a show in the sky tomorrow morning just after 5, a total lunar eclipse. And if we can see it, we're going to enjoy it for about an hour. It could have a red hue as well. Now, Not always. Our friends over at the Adler say there are some factors here. How clear is it? How cloudy? How dusty? But Emily, the X factor here is overcast.
Yes, so I think we're going to have at least some areas across the Chicagoland area that should have at least a couple holes punched in the cloud cover here. So we may get a glimpse, but if you're hoping for that beautiful picturesque photo, this may not be the turn, which actually is really unfortunate because this is our last total lunar eclipse that we're going to see until 2029.
Wow.
Yeah, so hopefully for those of you that are really hoping to see it, you can kind of chase those clear skies, but I think we're going to be seeing increasing cloud cover late tonight. Now, take a look at what's on your screen here. So this is a breakdown of the timeline, and essentially you'll start on the right side and then work your way to the left. So 50% partial eclipse is going to begin around 4:26 in the morning. Total eclipse is going to begin at 5:04, lasting until 6:03 a.m. But again, I think we're going to be battling some of that cloud cover, so we might not get super lucky this time around. But for those of you that are really hoping, set your alarms anyway. You just might get lucky and get a break in the cloud cover over your location. So your 5-day forecast here, as far as precipitation is concerned, we have several chances of rain that's going to be arriving, and it begins tomorrow and it's going to last all the way until Saturday. That said, it's not going to be raining the entire time. We're going to have several dry hours in the mix, but this is really going to be one of those weeks that you're going to need to keep the umbrellas handy because at several times throughout the day, you're going to be needing a couple showers. And this isn't a bad thing either. Take a look at the drought monitor. This is something that, you know, oftentimes during the winter, we're not always thinking about drought conditions because you're not really thinking about the growing season and planting season. But we're getting a little bit closer to that now that we're getting into those spring months. And notice where we have all of the red shading here. So downstate Illinois into portions of central Indiana and then stretching up into northwest Ohio toward Toledo, Ohio. We have an extreme drought. Now, the good thing about the weather pattern that we're going to be stuck in here this week is that we're going to see several systems parading through the region, and the heaviest accumulation of rain is likely going to be just south of our area. So it could be a really good thing for folks that are dealing with those extreme drought conditions. Now, here at home, notice kind of hugging the lakefront here, we're not really highlighted in any color. So what that's telling us is we're not dealing with those drought-like conditions near Chicago, up toward Evanston, and then rounding the lake into Lake Porter and LaPorte. But once you see the yellow shading, that's considered to be abnormally dry. And for those of you in southern Kankakee, parts of Newton and Jasper, and then definitely over toward LaSalle County, that's where we have a moderate drought, if not a severe drought across the far southwestern sections of LaSalle County. So the rainfall that we have in your forecast this week, while it's not a ton, it's a really good thing that a lot of it is likely going to be focused near and south of I-80, where we most heavily need that rainfall. Your high temperatures today, we ended up topping out in the 30s in Waukegan, but we did actually make it to 51 degrees in LaSalle. So we had a really wide range of temperatures, and here's where we're headed. So the next couple of days, we're going to be in the 40s on Tuesday and Wednesday. By Thursday, we're close to 50. And then going ahead into Friday and Saturday, we have temperatures that are expected to be in the 60s. And then I think we stay in the 60s this weekend and then possibly even into early next week. So this spring-like weather pattern looks like it's going to continue for us for a little while. Satellite and radar, things are quiet, but we're already starting to see some of those higher level clouds beginning to work their way in. An isolated shower or two is going to be possible tomorrow during the day, but a better chance of rain is going to arrive late afternoon into the evening hours, mainly near and south of I-80. But again, that heavier swath of rain is likely staying just south of the area. And then we have another push of rainfall that's going to be arriving midday Wednesday, likely lasting into the afternoon, before yet another push of rain is going to be here on Thursday. For tonight, 33, we'll have east-southeasterly winds, 5 to 10 miles per hour. 7-day forecast tomorrow, 43, 46 on Wednesday. We jump up to near 50 on Thursday. Again, several rounds of rain even later this week. And then we will have a chance of thunderstorms by the end of this week with highs in the 60s. Let's get a check of your weather pick of the day. This one is coming to us from Philip. Gorgeous photo here, and actually that the last time I saw a picture that was similar to this, I believe it was over toward Bussy Woods, if I'm remembering correctly. There was a lot of ice. We're not seeing that at all anymore. So, hello spring.
Hello.
We like that.
Yeah.
Well, if it's spring, maybe we want to clean our cars because sometimes they can get a little cluttered.
You're not alone if you're one of those people. The results of a new survey.
Coming up tonight on the Chicago Report, we're going to go in depth on what is happening in Iran and the U.S. military intervention, talking about regime change and how long that could possibly take. Plus, there is a Supreme Court case happening right now that has some interesting debates when it comes to gun ownership and marijuana use. We're going to show you how this has the potential to open up Pandora's box on a variety of other issues. That's coming up tonight on the Chicago Report.
Good day, Chicago.
Sad. Trending right now, 1 in 3 people say the state of their car is embarrassing to them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we're talking about crumpled wrappers, old coffee cups, and an infamous floor snack here or there. The survey found 21% of Americans have dropped food currently sitting on their floorboards. It's no surprise then that 1/3 would be mortified if someone looked inside their car. It turns out Gen Z is actually the tidiest generation. Baby boomers are most likely to admit their ride is a disaster zone. According to data, nearly half of car owners feel the current state of their vehicle is a fair reflection of personality. I believe that.
My car's like in the middle. You know, you can tell I have kids, but
yeah, you can't tell.
I'm doing my best.
You can't tell I have kids. You know why? I have 2 boys, and I just, from the very beginning, I would always have, the little grocery bags that you take. I would put it on the armrest and make sure they knew.
Our car is very clean. I can attest to this. It's very clean. It always looks like it has just gotten detailed.
Yeah, and if they're drinking or eating in the morning, I'm like, take that with you when you get out. There's a garbage can in front of the school.
Well, my car is, I'll get there. Okay, I'm doing my best.
One day, you will. You have a pass right now.
Yeah.
Gen Z is taking over restaurant loyalty programs and forcing brands to adapt to their orders. Chains that embrace the generational trend are already seeing a payoff. Taco Bell active loyalty members asked for and got the chain to bring back old favorites like the Quesarito and Baja Blast Pie, and the chain has enjoyed same-store sales growth as a result, according to data from loyalty program software Par Punch. 1 in 4 customers say they would switch to a less preferred restaurant for better loyalty perks. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, half say they even compare offers before deciding where to eat. And I think nowadays people are always looking for the coupon or the reward, the free entree.
That's how I decide, especially when it comes to pizza. That's how I decide where I'm getting pizza from, is who has coupons for tonight.
Yeah. Or the free entree, or even with delivery now, they give you like coupons off. So I completely get that.
Yeah. We're all in this together, right? Trying to save that money.
Yep.
All right, the Great Wolf Lodge is causing a stir on social media. They are rolling out its new milkshake flavor, which, you know, usually, Dawn, I'd be very excited about this, but I don't know. Ranch dressing. It combines vanilla ice cream with ranch dressing. There's a salty lime rim and a whipped cream topping. How you feeling so far? There's a lot. Did you hear that?
Yeah, the ranch is throwing me off.
Yeah.
Ryan, our producer, was telling me about this one. So carry on, go on.
Yeah, the garnishes include crispy chicken, carrots, and celery. The shake's going to be available starting Thursday through March 20th. It's going to cost just a little more than $3. And it's just in time for National Ranch Day, which is March 10th. You know, holiday in my household. Ranch, I always say this, it is a dip, it's not a dressing.
You put it on everything.
But I don't know if I would put it in a shake. This, I don't know if I can get down for it.
It seems like a tummy ache with the ice cream and the ranch.
It seems like a combo that would really pay you back later.
Ryan, did you say you like this? Get in my ear and let me know.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. You know, he said no. Okay.
Yeah.
The vanilla and the ranch, I don't know. But you do like ranch on a lot, so I'm surprised.
I love ranch on everything, but I don't. I'm not going to mix it with my ice cream.
I'm really surprised.
And it doesn't go with lime.
Well, one final check of your forecast.
Yeah.
It goes really well in this news.
It does. Lots of rain this week, but that's all the time we have.
We'll be right back, though. One more check.
Really?
Yeah.